Manish Sonthalia, Head of Equities at Motilal Oswal AMC, joins us right now on the show. Manish, good having you. Thanks so much for taking the time out. How do you characterize this earnings season? We probably have only 12 or 13 companies that have come out thus far from the Nifty, but the broader end is throwing some surprises. Realization gains in ACC, which has led to a red-hot move in cement names, so that's done well. And IT has been a bit of a mixed bag.
No, so the earnings season so far has been quite a good one, but the earlier part of the earnings season is always to do with good numbers coming out first. We need to see how the earnings season plays out in the latter half, which is the last week, the second week of the next month. That is the point in time when we'll actually come to know how the earnings season has played out. But initial numbers are very good. I think if these numbers were to continue till the end of the earnings season, we are ending up with better than estimates when we came into the earnings season. So the preview was somewhat muted than what the numbers had indicated so far. And if this trend continues, we aim for some positive surprise as far as earnings numbers are concerned.
Interesting, Manish. The street was working with 20-odd%. You reckon that we could nudge that mark, or do you expect to beat? And in light of that, what happens to the market sentiment there? Because while the broader markets may be all over the place, the Sensex, as we speak, is sitting pretty at record highs.
Yeah, so as oil moves towards 70, the Nifty will have a chance to move towards 12,000. So we're looking at something like 8 to 10%, 9 to 10% sort of a gain in the Nifty from these levels. But having said that, I think the correction in the mid cap and the small cap have been so severe, and if the broader markets were to move up, the tailwind as far as the mid cap and the small cap numbers, should the numbers support, the profit numbers for first quarter 2019 supports, they will have a tendency to move up maybe 25 to 30%. So that's how the stacks are there.
Manish, a lot of fun. Good morning, this is Agam here. A lot of fund managers have been talking about just buying those of 5 or 6 odd names on the Nifty, because that's probably a good hiding place. Do you think that will change eventually in the next few months? If you do believe that, what will the factors be that could possibly change that scenario?
No, so, given the regulatory changes that have happened, it is warranted that a lot of names move into the top 100 stocks. And the 5 or 6 names that we are alluding to, most of the people on the street, most of the managers, fund managers on the street are underweight those names. And if the weightage has to be just equal to the index weight, you're looking at some massive buying happening in these 4 or 5 names. And are they overshooting the fundamentals? Answer is a clear yes. But the regulatory changes are all accelerating the passivization of the industry. That is, we are moving towards index hugging funds, because that is the only universe that you are allowed to invest in. If, let's say, a large cap fund, you wanted to invest maybe 80% in the top 100 stocks, and you'll have to hug the benchmark if you don't want to underperform. So that's how the things are. But these may be technical factors. If one needs to have a serious alpha on one's portfolio, then the space to be is in the mid cap and the small cap names. And if the numbers come through, then most of these names are actually undershooting the fundamentals. My sense is that there is more margin of safety in the mid and the small caps today as opposed to the large caps. They may be priced to perfection for the near term. Of course, these are great businesses which will give returns, decent returns over long periods of time. But the massive buying that has happened over the last 4, 5, 6 months in the large cap names means that they may go through time corrections, in the medium term. At the same time, there has been so much of selling in the mid cap and the small cap that it's overdone, and there is a case of buying into the mid and the small caps because there is real fundamental value in some of these names, and that is where absolute returns and alpha should also come from.
Before we move on to the other topics, I just want to ask you one more question on these top 6, 7 odd names. Say for a retail investor, for who is already invested in these stocks, would you advise them to keep positions but not add more positions? Or would you actually suggest that it wouldn't matter if you would add, despite the fact that you've already said that valuations are pretty high at this point?
So it depends on the time horizon of the retail investor. If one wants to invest for the next 2-3 years, then if buying the large caps even at these prices may not matter so much, because at the end of 3 years, if you buy 5% or 7% higher or lower, it doesn't really move the needle as far as the overall returns over a 3-year time frame is concerned. But my sense is that these names may go through time corrections, and the time correction could be around 3 to 6 months. And so if somebody wants to time it to perfection, maybe the margin of safety is better in mid and the small caps as opposed to the large caps.
If you heard Manish Sonthalia on Alpha Moguls about 4 or 5 months ago, you would have seen his thesis on some of these names like HUL. And I think it's turned out really, really well. Manish, interesting thesis out there on mid-caps. You reckon this is a really good time to build a solid mid-cap portfolio, because in part there has been correction which has been fairly steep due to a lot of other factors than fundamentals. And part 2 of my question is, for the ultra HNI who's looking to park money into PMS schemes, is this a good time to pick up schemes which are focused largely at the mid-cap and the small-cap end of the market?
Yeah, the answer is unequivocal yes. The space to be in is in the mid and the small caps if you want alpha as well as absolute returns over a 2 to 3 year time frame. Yes, the mid and the small caps have seen some very deep cuts. More than, my sense is it's more than what is warranted. And so there's absolute real value in some of these names out there, because the business environment is only turning for the better. The earnings, ultimately what matters is earnings growth, and earnings growth we are starting to see come back in a big way. Of course, the base effect of last year is also to do with the positive percentage YOY returns that we are seeing in many of these names. But markets are all about YOY returns. It's all about year on year, what is the earnings growth. They hardly differentiate what's the base effect and so on and so forth. So on that front, I think these technical factors do present a great opportunity to build a mid and a small cap portfolio, provided the time horizon is slightly longer at around 2 to 3 years. I mean, many of these names over that time frame may not see the current prices that we are in today. These prices have come through due to technical factors, the capital gains tax introduced or the regulatory changes, etc. But that is how tops and bottoms are made in markets, and these opportunities are to be capitalized upon and not ignored.
Necessarily a mid-cap opportunity, Manish, but cement is a red-hot pack in trade today, in part due to what ACC has shown in realizations. A depressed space, maybe because earnings have got pushed a little bit more into the future than what people had thought earlier. What is your thesis here?
Yeah, so the commentary that came out of the Ultratech management as well as the ACC numbers have surprised the analysts, the sell-side analysts, big time. Most of the street is basically very pessimistic on the cement names, primarily due to the fact that there's got a lot of capacity that is coming through, and capacity utilization, etc., is still a worry, and so on and so forth. And the correction in many of the names have been very severe. I mean, not warranted, so to speak. Of course, the monsoon has a part to play to it. Monsoons have been pretty decent, and realizations, if they hold post monsoons, and my sense is going to hold, and with benign input costs, I mean, the profitability is only going to move up, and with the increase in profitability, you should also see a re-rating on many of the cement names. Again, out here, I think there's larger value in the mid and the small caps as opposed to the large caps.
Manish, since you are talking about finding value in the small caps or the mid caps for that matter, I'm going to leave aside names like Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, possibly HDFC aside. I'm looking at the Bloomberg consensus, and it's indicating a lot of upside for some of the relatively smaller NBFCs. What is your approach to this entire sector? Would you recommend sticking with the big names, or in this case, would you actually try and perhaps start nibbling into some of the relatively smaller ones?
So within, if you leave aside the large names in the NBFC space and look at the mid and the small caps, I think there's a lot of value and earnings growth that is still to come in the MFI space over the next 2-3 years. I mean, if you have seen some correction in these names, they present an opportunity. Or if you're looking at, let's say, mortgage financiers, there's not too much of value and not too much of spreads left in the salaried mortgage finance loans, salaried class. But if these guys are actually funding self-employed clients who are in the self-employed category, and if you're funding them in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, I mean, the spreads are very, very decent. We have ROAs in excess of 2.5% to 3%. and if you apply adequate leverage of 6 to 7 times, then a decent 15% ROE, and some very superlative growth still to come. This is not a very crowded space as opposed to the mortgage financiers who are catering to the salaried class, where there's cutthroat competition from banks, and the cost of funds are actually also rising. So it makes much more sense to be in mortgage finance space, catering to the tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 sort of client geographies, and the clientele base is more self-employed than salaried.